Once upon a time, George Bush Sr. passed a bill called the Department of Education. So now the federal government was going to regulate education. And then his son came along and added to that bill and put in a thing called Common Core. Now, within Common Core, there was a thing called Common Core Math. And Common Core Math said 2 plus 2 equals 5. You have two things, then you have two more things, so now you have 5 things. And people were like, hold on a second, 2 plus 2 equals 4. What are you doing? Are you doing social engineering? Are you trying to confuse us just to like mess with people? Like, what is this? This is weird. 2 plus 2 equals 5. Now, what they're doing is counting 0. And the scientific community does this all the time. They count 0. They have a hypothesis, but they don't have a cause for the hypothesis. They have weight and they have mass, but they don't have any force affecting the weight or the mass. They don't have motion, or they don't have force pulling everything to the center of mass. They don't have proof of it, but they need it to fit their theory. So Newton did this and Einstein did this. E equals mc squared. E energy equals mass times your light speed times your motion squared. E equals energy equals. But what's the cause of the energy? What's the cause of the light speed? We don't know yet. We don't know yet. It's nothing. It's literally nothing. So we're going to take it. We're going to take it from the thing we know. They take it from the assumption. Now, Newton did this by taking it from the thing we know. And the thing we know is the weight of the object. And he says, well, then we're going to add mass. But he doesn't always know what the mass of the object is when it comes with the lights in the sky. And that's how he gets his gravity. His gravity comes from nothingness. If things are just falling, they fall at the same speed. Now, there's no force pulling the thing down. But it is true, two objects with very little air will fall relatively at the same speed. They measure objects with no air and they fall at the same speed because there's nothing pulling it down. There's nothing stopping it, though, from falling. So it just falls. The paperclip and the rock fall at the same speed. When there's something interacting with it, depending on the mass, then it changes. Depending on the mass of the object and the mass that's interacting with it. But we can observe it. When we don't observe it, it just moves where it moves. It moves where the air is. Things don't need a force. They just are. You wouldn't move sideways if nothing moved you sideways. If there wasn't a force moving you sideways, you wouldn't move sideways. In outer space, you would just fall. You would just fall if there wasn't motion. No, they're adding motion. And they're doing that by counting 0. And they're just assuming and they're just adding theory. Flat earthers know this. But then they get in these scientific arguments with you, and it's in their equation that that's what they're doing. They're doing Common Core Math. They're counting 0. And they're giving a value to 0. They're saying 0 is something. They're saying something out of nothing, and we're saying we don't know what nothing is. If you stare into the abyss, you will become the abyss. If you try to become God, you'll just go crazy, and you'll have to do it by stealing the creation. And we're stealing it back.